That's all gonna happen. Hey, hey. Well, that's what a center frame looks like. Oh,
Three, two, one, go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Michael E. Murphy. You are watching the Brothers Murph, and it's time for Board Game. I'm Nick Highlight. This is a weekly segment where one of us will talk about a game that we quite enjoy, that's in our collection, that we want to sort of get into a little bit, get into the nits and grits, and talk about why we love it so much. Today, I have a lovely, fun throwback from the 80s called Fireball Island that has been restored by Restoration Games. It's literally what they do, and it's really fun, guys. It's a awesome adventure game where you're running around a big 3D island flinging marbles at each other. It is chaos that is barely contained purposefully, and it's just a great time. It gets you into the feelings of being a kid back in the 90s or 80s when this came out, when things were so tactile, where Mousetrap was just such a fun thing to try to build and set off. This game is all about that. It's all about pitting people around and then just flicking marbles around, and it's a ton of fun. Restoration Games has done a great job at just sprucing up some of the mechanics, making it a little easier to actually get stuff done while keeping the heart of the game, the heart of Volcar themselves, intact, which is just like marble madness. So let's get down to the table. I'll do my little spiel about what this game is, and then we'll talk about some of the things that really set this game apart, and just make it a really fun thing to just get silly with. Okay, so what you are being treated here with is a bird's eye view of the lovely, lovely Fireball Island. We are here, our little helicopter flying over, taking some pictures and stuff like that, and it's a beautiful sunny day, as it always is in Fireball Island. I can't imagine that anything is going to go terribly wrong today. So real talk, Nick and I went to PAX Unplugged this past November into December, and we demoed this game a bunch. And one thing that's really fun about when you demo the same game over and over and over again is that you get really good at like the pitch. And this is a fun one to kind of sell the story on. So if you don't mind indulging me, I'm just going to give you the pitch because it's a really good way to also teach the game really quickly, because I practiced it a bunch and worked out all the kinks. Alright, so check this out. Welcome to a nice new sunny day here on Fireball Island. You four are lucky adventurers who have won an all-inclusive trip to Fireball Island. This is a fantastic tropical locale with beautiful vistas galore, and the only thing that you gotta worry about is this little deity here on top of the mountain named Volcar. Now, Volcar in the past has been known to be a bit moody once in a while. Back in the 80s, I think it was, in the old company before Embercore took over. Volcar might have thrown fireballs in a couple people's faces. There were some second to third degree burns, lawsuits, and yada, yada, yada. But that's the old days. This is the new. Embercore is a great above board company. We are here to repopularize this island. We have talked to Volcar, and he is all good to go. He really won't mind it at all if people come and run all over his beautiful, beautiful island. So lucky for you, you have won this trip, and you get to go anywhere that you want on the island. And all we ask that you do is that you take pictures while you're here. That's right. In the time that it took to restore this island, social media became a thing, and we really want to get the word out about Fireball Island and make sure Volcar looks really good in all those pictures. So all we ask in return for you coming to this island is take pictures and spread it out, because it's all about the gram. Now, you might notice that there is treasure strewn all about the island. We don't care if you happen to see some treasure and pick it up along your way. If you're jogging down the beach and you see a piece of gold, pick it up. It's yours to keep. You don't need to stop to grab that treasure. Same thing if you go past these little spaces where you can take a nice, beautiful photo. Just keep right on running. Now, you might want to know, how do I actually run around the island? Well, I have gifted you all with these awesome action cards. Now, these action cards, you'll always have two, and you can choose one, and it's going to give you a bit of movement to move around. So if you play one and you get 8 spaces to move, you're going to choose any of these passes or the little squares connected by the little mud lines that separate the spaces, and you're going to get to choose the move. Now, the only real rules we have about moving here is if you commit to a direction 1, 2, 3, don't just change your mind and go 4, 5, 6 back. That's lame. We want people who are forward thinking here. So if you come to a bridge in any road, you can choose which bridge to take, but then keep on moving forward. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I passed by a treasure spot. That's where these little triangles mean, is this is a treasure spot. You can pick that up and keep right on running. The only times that you have to stop running is if you go onto one of our unstable spaces. Now, we are still working on sprucing up this island, and over here we have a ladder and a couple of bridges over this river that are a little bit rickety, and all we want you to do is slow it down and take a minute on these bridges and ladders. We don't want anyone to twist an ankle and get hurt here. So that's going to be the only time that you have to stop short of your movement. Otherwise, we want you to carry out all of your movement and make sure you're seeing as much of the island as possible. Another quick note about movement: if you're moving and following in the same direction as someone, and someone is stopping to take in a vista or count some of their treasure, you can just go ahead and hop right over them. You don't want to disturb the other guests here. So if I play a 6 here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not going to count that space. We'll give you a little freebie there. And you're not going to count that space. You'll be able to jump right over them and keep right on moving. It's like a little bonus for making new friends here on the island. Now, my friend over here, you've noticed that you have stopped on a space that is a treasure space. Now, this is kind of a different looking treasure. This looks kind of like a big gem. This is actually the heart of Volcar. Now, you can take the heart of Volcar if you want. Now, I will warn you, sometimes Volcar doesn't like to have his heart stolen because it's happened so many times, and he always gets burned. And he decides sometimes to burn people back for that. So if you take the heart, it's great because it's worth 7 points for you. However, we are going to add one of these beautiful red marbles to something called the scar down here. Now, you're probably not going to need to worry about the scar unless you play a cataclysm. Oh, you played a cataclysm. Okay, so that's interesting. Now, I've told you about the movement up here on the top halves of cards, and you always have to carry out that movement, but you might notice that a lot of these cards, in fact, all these cards have stuff kind of on the bottom. Now, one of them is this Cataclysm. The Cataclysm is an interesting event, we'll call it, where Volcar likes to welcome all the guests on the island. Now, anytime a Cataclysm gets played, you don't have to carry it out, but we're not cowards here. We will carry out those Cataclysms. You're going to put it down here on a Cataclysm tracker. Don't worry about what that means. And we're going to take any of the marbles down here in the scar, and you're going to have the distinct honor of dropping those marbles into Volcar's head. Now, you might notice that some things have happened. Those fireballs have moved around the island. They've singed some palm trees. They took out this ladder, and oh, they knocked our poor other traveler off of the bridge. Now, unfortunately, my friend here has been what we call fireballed. It's an unfortunate situation. It's a very temporary situation. So my friend here is going to have to give up a treasure. It's just kind of, it's a faux pas to be fireballed, really is what it is. And you're going to have to give up a treasure. So the person who gets fireballed will have to give up a treasure to the person who fireballs them. They can choose which treasure they give up. In this case, they only had 1 gold piece. So that's going to go to my yellow adventurer. And my red adventurer is going to sit nice here in a lava pit. It's kind of like, you know, the sulfuric baths that you can take in hot springs and stuff like that. It's a really fancy feature that we have here. And you can just lay down there until your next turn and really relax, rest up for your next adventure. When it's your turn, you will pop up right here down at the bottom of the lava bed and keep right on running. You're good to go. This is like the Lost Island. There's a bunch of weird physics and things like that, and you heal very quickly from these fireballs. But for now, go ahead and take a rest right there. You can't be fireballed again. And you know what? Scars are cool. Scars are great reminders of adventures you've been on, so we're going to give you a souvenir for being fireballed, and that's something that you can use as a one-time effect, and it'll tell you when it can play. In this instance, you got a water bottle. Play when you're about to draw an action card. you may take an action card from the discard pile instead, so you can make sure you know what card you're getting. So that's a great souvenir that you got for being Fireball. That's really the worst thing that happens in this game. You lose a little bit of treasure, and you get to take a nice nap in lava. On these other cards here, we have things that say launch an Ember Marble. Now, real quick, anytime that the island gets disturbed, kind of like magic, when the sun rises on Fireball Island again, everything is restored. So, we have these red marbles down here that are only used in Cataclysms. They are special fireballs that go into the head of Volcar. We would never, ever put anything that Volcar himself did not approve first into the head of Volcar. We have these orange fireballs all around the island. And anytime a card says launch an Ember Marble, if it says specifically an Ember Marble, it's going to refer to any of these marbles around the island. Now, if this person had gotten up and they'd run around over here, and they're standing on this hill, catching their breath finally, and then someone played a card that allows them to launch an Ember Marble, they can choose any of the marbles around, and then flick it. Now, we're not going to brace back like this and get ya! We're just going to go like this and flick it at them. Now, if they happen to knock over a person like they did again, this person is considered fireballed. If they had a treasure to give up, they would have to give up one of their treasures, and they will get another souvenir. If, by good fortune, Volcar shines upon you, and a marble hits you, and you go sliding, and you take the brunt of it and stay on your feet, you are not fireballed. You've been moved, you've been shook, but you took it on the shoulder and smiled at the other adventurers and looked at Volcar and he winked at you, said, "Good job, son." And you are not fireballed. It's only if you get tipped over and fall that you have been fireballed. And again, as you go around and collect these snapshots, they're going to be worth 5 points, but they're only going to be worth points if you make it off of the island, because there is no Wi-Fi yet available on the island. And unfortunately, if you remain on the island at the end of the game, no one's ever going to see your pictures, okay? Now, there are 2 spaces for blue, 2 spaces for red, and 2 spaces for yellow pictures. You can get one of each color. The pictures are more for your flavor. If you want to get Viper Pass, you really love snakes, you might want to come up here, but if you really want to stick to the beach and go by Dock Run and take a jog, you'll want to go down here. But again, you can get one of each color. If you get all 3 colors, that'll be 15 points if you make it back to our helicopter and to technology. Now, we're all going to have a chance to run around the island, and there's going to be a couple of things that will signal the end of our vacation. One way the game will end is if we add a 4th marble or fireball to the scar. Every 3 cataclysms, after we carry out that cataclysm, we will add another marble. And the other way to add a marble immediately is if someone takes the heart of Volcar. Once we have 4 marbles in the scar, everybody, including the person that triggers the end phase, will get 2 more turns to try to get off the island. If you get off the island, you get to score your photos. That's great. But if you do not get off the island, you still get to score all of your treasure. So it is not the only way to win to get back onto the helicopter. It just helps out a lot. The other way that the game will go into the end phase is if anyone has one of each color of the photos and then stands on the helipad at any time, that will trigger the end game. So like I said, while you're enjoying this beautiful island, do take some pictures. Do feel free to grab some treasure. The more of any particular type of treasure you get, the better. It's all kind of set collection. So if you get 3 gold, for instance, you're going to get 6 points for those gold. If you have 4 of the snakes, you'll get 10 of those snakes. If you only have 1 of the snakes, however, you'll only get 1 point. There's 3 different types of treasure. You can grab them. This is a little reminder of which adventurer you are, and it has all of the scoring stuff on the back, including little rundowns of what you should do on your turn. So anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Please, please, please do enjoy Fireball Island, and let us know of your adventures when you get back home, if you get back home. So anyway, guys, that's just a little bit about how Fireball Island plays. That's really most everything. There's a little bit where if someone's holding the Heart of Volcar and someone jumps over them using that movement, they get to steal the Heart of Volcar. The Heart of Volcar is worth 7 points. There is the Maw over here. Now, there's all these fireballing going on, and you might accidentally fireball yourself. You can fireball yourself. In that instance, you're not going to give up a treasure to another player. Since you did it, you're going to give it to the Maw. That's you showing penance to Volcar for your arrogance, for your wiliness. So that is a punishment that you might receive if you fireball yourself. If you make it off of the island, you get onto the helicopter. Once that end phase has been triggered, you get to grab something from the maw. Now, it's always going to start off with a lucky penny in it that's worth 6 points. If you're the first person off of the island, grab that lucky penny. It's going to be worth more than anything else. But then if throughout the game people have fireballed themselves, extra treasure has been added to the maw, you can grab one of those as a consolation prize for making it out of the island and being like, yay! But the cool thing that I really like about this game is you don't have to get off the island to win. You can just stay on and be like, I'm way over here. There's 2 more rounds. I'm not making it, but there is a lot of treasure. I'm just going to collect a butt ton of treasure. Now, you don't have to carry out the Launch and Ember Marble and stuff, but if you have a Cataclysm card in your hand, just play it. Like, don't hold on to it and not play it. Like, move the game along, because it's never more fun than when you get to launch stuff in the head of Volcar, especially when you get multiple marbles and you just see craziness carry out. It's awesome. Other things that I really like about the game is the board kind of moves and shakes and rattles a little bit. Now, that's part of the design, that it's a little bit bendy, because if it was brittle, it would break as you're trying to push trees into it and stuff like that. So this gives it its strength, but it also creates like a fun seismic activity. And that is part of the game. If you're on a space that's kind of like a hill, like this dude, and he's sort of unstable anyway, the seismic activity of the island might just like knock them over on their own. And that counts as being fireballed. Volcar is so angry that he's shaking the entire island and people fall over, which is like also weirdly thematic. Like, earthquakes hurt people. It's just the truth. So that's a fun thing. Now, you can't be like, oh, hey, oh, well, I'm sorry, man. That's weird that happened at the same time I threw a marble at you. But any sort of natural seismic activity does count toward being fireballed. In this game, you see just like highs and lows of like people who get hit from like so far away and like the safest possible spot. They somehow get tagged, and then you'll miss like a shot that's like literally is 3 centimeters from where you are. And like you'll just completely chuff it, and it's awful. You can feel a little ganged up on sometimes, and it's like hard to get anything going. You're just like, dude, I just keep getting fireballed. I keep fireballing myself. I can't get any treasure, and like that's a bummer. But the nice thing is like it's a quick game, and like it'll be over soon. I played one game of this that took 90 minutes, and that was crazy. Do not think too hard about this game. It's fun. It's a game that features marbles that you throw at each other. That's the level you should operate in when playing this game. Play cards quick, run around crazy, try to make trick shots, talk some smack, have a great time, and then get out of there, okay? That's where this game really, really shines, is in having the fun of the marble throwing. This game really does shine. This game, if you want to talk about table presence, is amazing. Now, we've been showing you this bird's eye view, but this thing is like big and bad. It's big and bad on the table. You've got these cool palm trees that you can rotate around and try to like set your fate in different ways, but it's ultimately just like literally barely contained chaos, most purposefully done. And the base game itself gives you a lot of really fun stuff, and then they have like a bunch of little expansions you can add on if you want. If I had to choose an expansion, just one, it's going to be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Bees all the way. Because then you get this little pot of tiny little marbles that go into Volcar's head all the time, and it's just a swarm of bees that get released around that might fireball you if you get knocked over. You might leave with a bee sting that kind of limits your movement. It's a ton of fun. Like, this isn't a game I grew up with, but I grew up with like Mousetrap and just loving to like build little contraptions and stuff, and so like this just gets me in that nostalgic way where you just like are giddy over getting to set up the island and then trying to take out all your friends and stuff like that. And like having the movement cards instead of the old game, which was like rolling dice, makes all the difference, because I now have 2 options and it gives me movement and then a little thing to do. And so I'm like, that's all the strategy I really need for this game. Like, just don't make it where the game itself might be slowed down because of dice. Here, like, you're going to be running, you're going to be moving. Like, if you want to get around the island, you can totally accomplish that goal. So it keeps the game progressing forward, because we're here for the marbles, man. So don't do something that gets us in the way of the marbles. Someone inevitably gets that Heart of Volcar in like turn 2 or 3, and now all of a sudden we have 2 marbles for the Cataclysms, and like that's great, and we're halfway to the end game, which is even greater. Those are some of my thoughts on Fireball Island. Do forgive me for going into my little spiel. I like to just kind of like tell the story of it, and this is something that I really suggest you do. narrate Volcar. Like, crazy stuff will happen. And that was one of my favorite things at PAX, was like seeing these things play out when I wasn't even playing the game. This person like takes a hit, they back up, they knock someone else over, and you can tell the story of what just happened. Like, Volcar was so mad that he turned the red adventurer into his noble vessel to dole out punishment on the green adventurer. Like, have fun with it, you know, like, just have fun. This should never be a game where people are sitting, well, 8 spaces is to there, but I have been going for snakes. 10 will give me 1 gold. That's a 2-point differential. Does anyone know the breakdown of the cards? Is there a bell curve for which movement cards are... Don't do that crap! No one likes those people. Don't do it. Don't be that gamer. Don't come to my Fireball Island. Don't bring Volcar that business. You'll throw a fireball right through your logic-laden skull. So anyway, folks, those are some of my thoughts on Fireball Island. Thank you again for being here. If you like Fireball Island, if you like what we do, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. Share this video if you played Fireball Island as a kid. If people that you know played Fireball Island as a kid maybe aren't aware that there's a new version out there of this awesome game, please spread the word. It's a ton of fun. Thank you, everyone. If this is your first video with us, I'm Mike Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph. Feel free to subscribe so you can get notifications for every video that we have. We have a lot of them. All right, so thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. And that was Board Game Highlight. Bye.